Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Let's finish up this video on getting the movement timed so it'll work properly in the clock. See, it drops, and then there's a little bit more action in here, we'll call it. You see this arm starting to go up. I'm not having a heart attack about that because normally these arms are up here anyway because they're holding on to the bellow. This is totally free play down. So I'm happy with that. And get my screws back on, or my nuts back on, and we'll go to our next step. So here's a spring wire. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it does have a natural bend to it. You want to make that bend work for you to get the gong to have as much action as possible. So I have to twist this around until I can get it to go into the hole I need it in. Looks like I need some help with the screwdriver because I need it on the proper side. Let me get a smaller screwdriver. Proper side of the lever that tells it it's turn to cuckoo, or to make the gong sound. There we go. We got it through there. Getting a little bit further. It's coming, should be coming through the plate now. I'm going to give it a twist the way I want it to be. There's a spring. And so now we need to get our post back on. And so let me get the first one on. This here needs to be behind this post. So we need a little more spring action there. And I'm thinking I'd actually like to pull the spring to make it go around the frame. So if that's the case, I won't need to wind it more, or wind it around more. So looking at this movement, I didn't catch it until I'm trying to figure out why this here is pushing out too far, the bird. If you look right here, normally it's not a problem with the 1-day clocks, but I'm going to go ahead and change the bushing right there, because that might be part of my problem, because the gear moves too much back and forth, which it has to do with lifting this up. So I'm going to take the movement apart again, which that means this will come back off again, and I'll go ahead and take these plates out, or the gong and the arms, so I can pull this frame off, and we'll mark that. And I usually use a permanent marker. So I don't get messed up and do the wrong one. Now I did want to mention that one there, I'm going to go ahead and rebush. Now if you were to take this to a clock shop, you have to remember, besides they need to make some money, is that they have to guarantee this movement to run for what, at least a year or something. And so they figure if they have to change one bushing, they're going to redo all the bushings just to make sure the clock doesn't wear out and will last at least a year. You doing it yourself, you can see how tight they are. Go ahead and just bush the one as far as I'm concerned. If you feel comfortable rebushing them all, you just go for it. You don't normally bush from the front side. Feels smooth now. That's what I was kind of going for. You always do it from the back side, and you got your choice of buying this expensive tool, or they have these diamond brooches that you can also make a nice hole for that bushing to fit. And no matter what, you don't shove, per se, even this one, you don't shove it in all the way, even though it looks really close to the bushing size. It might fit, or you might have made the hole a little bit too big. So once you get close, go ahead and stick it over there and see if it starts to go in a little bit. Because if it starts to go in a little bit, usually that's the time where I'll pop it back in. So let me get this hole drilled by hand, and I'll show you a quick of what I do after that. And a nice piece of metal there. There's my hole. This is starting to go in. I use it to pound it in. Now, I've found that if the hole for the gear is a little bit too big, you can smack it a few times. Of course, we're getting level with the front. That's all that matters, in my opinion. You can push it further if you wanted to, but not on top of that. And what I do is I file this off. They do have a, if you want to buy all the expensive tools and whatnot, they have a, let's call it a drill that will fit into the pivot, and it shaves the outer part of this off. And that's why you'll see some people that show you putting these in, they use the real tall ones because they have that special drill to drill it down so it's flush with the plate, so your gear will still have end play. Let me go ahead and file this down and we'll take a look at it. And a nice piece of metal there. There's my hole. This is starting to go in. I use it to pound it in. Now, I've found that if the hole for the gear is a little bit too big, you can smack it a few times. Of course, we're getting level with the front. That's all that matters, in my opinion. You can push it further if you wanted to, but not on top of that. And what I do is I file this off. They do have a, if you want to buy all the expensive tools and whatnot, they have a, let's call it a drill that will fit into the pivot, and it shaves the outer part of this off. And that's why you'll see some people that show you putting these in, they use the real tall ones because they have that special drill to drill it down so it's flush with the plate, so your gear will still have end play. Let me go ahead and file this down and we'll take a look at it. I have the nuts on my plates, but they are, we'll call it snug. I do have end play up and down, and it does spin. I'd like it to spin a little bit nicer than that. And normally when you put a new bushing in and file it, you'll want to use these to smooth out the hole and give it a little bit more run time, stop the friction. There you can see my file marks. Some of your professionals will call that butchering. I call it, I fixed it. It's on the inside. Doesn't show on the plate at all. Beautiful. So I got the new bushing in, and my timing, or my pin, I had to make sure it moved. I got the gong, cuckoo, and I want this not to raise. Sounded pretty good, didn't it? Too bad it wasn't this one. See, right there is where I want to stop, and it moves just a little bit further, but I'll have to hook up my cuckoo bird again to make sure it's what I'm thinking it needs, in or out, or what I need to do with that warning pin. So there's where I need it with the spring back, and you see the warning pin hasn't caught yet, and so this moves back out again. I can't have that. So let's see. So the warning pin is on this side of the lever there, and I need it on that side of the lever. So now I'm going to go ahead and redo both of these so they'll be equal. This one's doable, but I'm going to guess this here might be Tyvek suit or something. But I'm going to make them both even because we are bringing this clock back to life. That one don't make any noise. Then we'll only use just one sheet of Tyvek paper that's made for rebuilding the bellows that you can get on eBay. So now to get the chain in, because we have the movement in, we got the cuckoo bird in and hooked up. So now we have to turn our clock upside down. And what you're going to do is pick a hole, any hole, and see which way your winder turns. Right now this winder is turning around this way. And so the first hole is where you'll drop your chain in, catch the side of your winder, and then we'll go ahead, flip it around at least that far, run your screwdriver in again, wind it up just a little bit more because you don't want that chain going up into your gears. You want it to start coming around and drop down through the second hole. One way you can tell that you have it on the winder is get it next to it and give it a pull. And if it stays, that means we've got it. So I'm going to go into the second hole, start winding it up, give it one wind. There we go. Just keep winding it until the chain drops down through. Here it is. And then I wind this thing up so both ends of the chain meet, so we have even weight on the chains. And now I can take this, wrap it around something, and now I can turn it around without this coming loose and figure out my next winder. It's winding this way, so I'll drop the chain through the third hole and as I bring it up, it'll come out the fourth hole. Both chains on, we better put this wire on that goes to the pendulum. And don't forget to squish that together here. And once the pendulum's on, then you can test to make sure you're in beat or not with the clock being leveled. So I have the shorter wire that attaches to the lift arm. And what I plan on doing is hooking it to the shorter lift arm. Then we're going to try to attach it onto our whistle box. It might be difficult because we are working in a very small area. How about if I use a pliers to hold it for me? I'm going to have to do it a little bit different because I don't have enough room in here to slide it by. It's going to be best to open this up. The L shape, so I can just hook this on here. And let's see here, try to get the same nail hole. Which is a little bit tight because the hammer's in the way. Then you have to shove the nail back in and just leave the end of it out. We got that on. Now I have to get one of our screws and try to hit the same hole with the screw, same hole it came out of. And we'll push our nail through back into the bellow or the whistle box. And now we can reach in there and get that wire and pull it up into our lift arm. And I'll do that with the other one. And the wire is underneath the tail of the bird, so when it's sitting up straight, the bird tail will rest onto that bellow. So let me get the other whistle box here in there, and then we'll kind of test this out. So this hand that came with the clock is, I guess we'll say it's carved out crooked, and so we're not hitting right on the hour mark. In fact, you see how wobbly it is here? And there's no real way of tightening it up unless you put a new hand on, because this has a square hole and it's, like I say, not carved out right. Now when this goes into warning, the door opens part way. I don't think I can fix that. See, it's opened up part way. So I took the movement out one more time because that was bothering me when the warning pin would run or click in, that the bird would pop the door out part way. And I was thinking about it overnight, and I was figuring this lever here is supposed to stop the warning pin. And so that's why I took it out. It's actually stopping the warning pin. It's just that my warning pin was set that when it would, right there's a warning pin, when it would move over to this area, this here would move to where this lever would be clear over here, and that was just too far. So what I had to do is separate it again, move my warning pin gear once it was set into this place here, that it would be pretty close to touching here, and which it's supposed to do to stop it. And now it seems to obviously work a lot better. Now this is easy to turn because there's no pressure on this hand shaft here until you have the nuts set up. So the warning pin just moved, and this only moved out a little bit, which normally when your bird is hooked up, it's already held out here anyway until it's actually pushing on it enough to open the door. And you can see it's staying clear here instead of cocking in, then coming back out a little bit more. So I'm thrilled with that. So now I can put it back together and sleep at night, I'm sure. So let's get it together and see how well that works out. And also, where this side, where the whistle box sat, I couldn't go with the original holes on the whistle box because it went over the movement. And because of it going over the movement, the fan's right here, and it would hit the fan, or the fan would hit it, and then it wouldn't be able to play. So I had to angle the bellow back so it wouldn't hit the fan. And also this whistle box would set out a little bit further, which isn't a good thing because when this sets out, it'd be almost level with this inside the box. But when you put the back on, the gong would press against this and give it a thud sound. That's why I'm almost wondering if this is actually supposed to be like this, so it's out of the way of the fan, and also you can get it close enough to the movement to allow room in this small box for the gong to sit right up by here without touching this. And that's doable also. Normally your top, you got your whistle hole there, that's supposed to stick out of the box. So possibly this top was put on facing in and should have been facing this way. And with it facing that way, now your wires need to be moved so that way this comes out for the cuckoo bird. And this here might be okay, or it might need to go over here in order for the lift arm to work out. Anyway, I'm going to figure that out on which way I want this. Realistically, this doesn't necessarily need to face out of the box. because it's actually not going to make a difference on the sound, whether it's whistling on the inside or coming out of the box. Or there might be a little bit of a difference, but I don't think you're going to notice it. So anyway, let me get this back together again and decide how I want to do this. So I work on so many clocks I don't even notice anymore. I hate to say it. This one, the whistle box itself, has got the red and black paper. This one didn't have any. It's also got a black or a plastic top. That one doesn't have it. It's all built into the whistle box. And so this one doesn't even belong to the clock, but it has the right tone. Setting it in there, it's hitting the governor fan that controls the speed of how fast this cuckoos, and it's just not working out. I looked through my extra whistle boxes. I don't have one that I can, that's small enough to work out. And so this one here, you can see where it's supposed to blow out. Some of your newer clocks, if you look, they don't have holes on the side. This here just blows right inside where the movement is. So that's what I'm going to do with this clock. We're going to listen to it to see what it sounds like. But just the same, it's supposed to be screwed on this way. I'm going to set it in there this way so it'll blow out into the box. And this here, I moved the wire from here over to here so it lifts the bird as it cuckoos. And then where the wire connects was there. Well, that's not going to work out. This here comes clear in front of the pendulum, and so you can't put it in the front. So I stuck it on the back. So I'm going to have to hook it up first, and then come down and hook to the rod. So let's see if this thing works out or not. So you'll see it works. Thing is, both of these have the same tune. So that's just the way it is. Like I say, I don't have another bellow or a whistle box that I can change it with. So with moving this whistle box in also, now the gong can fit in there and the whistle box won't hit this. Okay, I did a little bit more adjusting to this. Now it seems to run smoother. So I hope you're enjoying so far of getting the movement timed in the several spots it has to be timed in order for your clock to work right. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Hope you made it clear to the end here. And don't forget to subscribe because it's free. And until next time, God bless.